Everyone, my name is Melissa, and I am talk to you a little bit about my career path and what exactly I do and all the different aspects of the speech language pathology field. So kind of how I got into the field. Most people, when they think of speech language therapists, just think of, working in an elementary school, working with kids who can't produce their sounds, working on their R sound. Many of you probably worked with a speech therapist when you were little. But there's a whole other medical aspect to the field as well that I didn't even realize until I got into school, until I got into grad school. So originally I went to school for elementary education, special education.
And then second floor, please pick up line 1. Second floor, please pick up line 1. Thank you.
Speakerphone. So originally I went for elementary ed and special ed. Decided that wasn't really what I wanted to do. However, I finished my degree and then decided to get my master's in speech language pathology. So I went and did that. Fell in love with the medical aspect, such as the swallowing. So speech therapists are also experts in the field of swallowing. We kind of work from the neck up through the mouth, bottom of the nose, and learn all of that anatomy, learn how to swallow, learn what muscles and bones and ligaments are in there, and really work with any disorder that could impact your swallowing, such as having a stroke, such as having Parkinson's or Alzheimer's, dementia, any of those things as you age. And just the natural aging process as well can negatively impact your swallowing. So I started my career the past 5 years. I worked in an elementary school doing exactly what you think a speech therapist does in elementary school. I got really bored with that and decided that I wanted to get into the medical field. So I'm currently working as a traveling speech therapist in a skilled nursing facility and nursing home. So right now I'm out in Boston. I'm a traveler, so I can change facilities every 13 weeks. And my main objective here is to work with patients on swallowing. I also do some cognitive therapy as well. Again, for those people that may have had strokes, that may have had Alzheimer's or dementia or anything like that, really working on maybe memory strategies or working how to recall words, making memory books to help them recall their family and their names, functional skills like that. In the skilled nursing facility, you're working mostly on functional skills that'll help you get from day-to-day activities, really increase your independence. Short-term wise, we want to get you in here, we want to see you for a couple weeks, and then we want to get you home, whether home is an assisted living facility, whether it's home by yourself, whether it's home living with your kids. So the population in a skilled nursing facility is generally going to be your geriatric population. So in my experience personally in the schools, I worked with kind of age 3 up through 5th grade. And now I'm really working with the geriatric population. My youngest patients are like 50s, 60s. And then we have like 98-year-olds that are here still loving life, still enjoying everything that they have here. So that's kind of what I do now on my day-to-day basis. My favorite part of my day is definitely just getting in there and seeing patients and just kind of helping them get back those functional skills. So when somebody has an issue with their swallowing, they maybe downgraded their diet. So they might have to have food that's already cut up for them, that's already minced. They might have to have thickened liquids. So there's different consistencies from your regular thin liquids that you have every day to we call nectar thick liquids or honey thick liquids. And really just getting them to their what we call least restrictive diet. So ultimately we want everybody to be able to eat and drink whatever they want, but we also want to make sure it's safe and that they're not aspirating. We want to keep them healthy. We don't want anything getting into their lungs. We don't want them getting pneumonia and them to get even more sick. Looking at the career, like I said, speech therapy is a huge, broad field. You can work in early interventions in preschools, hospitals, acute care, skilled nursing facilities, school districts. The starting salary can really range. When I was in the schools and I started, you're going to start around 40, 50,000. If you work in acute care or nursing facilities, you can make between 80 and 90,000. It all depends on your experience. Obviously, the more you work, the higher your salary is going to get, and all really includes on your setting as well. Also, keep in mind that each setting setting's going to offer different benefits regarding your health insurance, your retirement, which I know is something you guys really aren't thinking about right now. But when you get into your career field, that's definitely something that's going to weigh in on your options and what you're doing day to day. I see Ms. Noyd asked me a question. So it says, can you talk a little bit about being a traveling speech therapist? So this is something I didn't even know existed until about 6 months ago. This is options for anybody in the medical field, whether you're a doctor, a physical therapist, an occupational therapist, a radiologist. So what happens is you pick anywhere in the country you wanted to go. I was living down in North Carolina, decided to look at Boston. So I took a contract. Your contracts are generally 13 weeks, just about 3 months. You work in that facility about halfway through your facility or halfway through your contract. You then look at other options. Do you want to extend your contract and stay at that facility? Do you want to move to a completely different city? Do you want to maybe stay in your same city, but maybe look at a different facility? For me, this is my third contract, but my second facility. So I started out up north of Boston. My commute was like 2 hours each way. Wasn't loving that. So I fortunately found a facility right close here. And I've been here for 13 weeks. And then this week I just started my other contract. There's some travelers that are out in Hawaii right now, enjoying the sunshine out there. You can take settings in Alaska. When I say anywhere in the country, you can literally go anywhere that you want. So I'll be here through July, middle of July, and then deciding what I want to do there. If I want to go somewhere else, if I want to stay here. It's really great because you get to see a lot of different facilities and how they're run. And you can kind of compare companies, kind of compare facilities, get different ideas from different therapists. So especially starting out in the field, it's a really, really great way to kind of get your feet wet and learn a ton of information in a short amount of time. I hope I answered your question a little bit on that. Anything that I wish I knew before I started? I guess I didn't realize how wide the field is. I didn't really know that until later in graduate school, but it's something that I absolutely love about the field. Like I said, I switched settings after a few years, and you can keep switching back and forth as much as you want. It's something that our scope of practice is so large that there's so many things you can work on, and it's changing all the time. So it's definitely a huge advantage. But I don't think there's anything I really wish that I knew specifically before. It's just being prepared that you're always going to be learning and you're never really going to be an expert in one specific area if you want to keep your scope of practice and your knowledge base wide. As for anybody who is interested in the field, definitely take up some advantages and kind of get some feels out there, maybe do a little internship. In my high school, I had the opportunity to take a career development program. So a couple of days a week for a couple hours, I got to go work and observe a speech therapist and kind of what she did on the day-to-day basis. Looking up things online, reading research articles, talking to professionals, talking to students. One thing about speech therapy graduate programs is they're very, very difficult to get into. So talking to people who are in the graduate programs, what they needed to do through college, through high school to kind of make their applications stand out is definitely going to be beneficial. And then just a little bit on how things have changed from this pandemic. For me, it's kind of been an absolute huge world of difference change. So the facility I work in, like I said, is a lot of geriatric population. A lot of people who fall into that category that are very susceptible to the COVID and who, if they come in contact with the COVID, it's going to be detrimental for them. They're going to have a hard time fighting it off. So we, at my facility, just recently have come in contact with COVID patients. So this week has been completely different than any other week for all of us here. I work with a team of speech therapists, occupational therapists, physical therapist assistant, occupational therapy assistants. So there's a whole rehab team here. So now we are decked out, gowned out, lots of PPE that you hear talked about, which I can kind of show you a little bit of. So We got our awesome hair nets that we have to put on. We have our goggles. We have our famous N95 masks. Now we only get one of these for every 2 weeks, so we also put a mask on the outside to help keep it clean. We have a face shield. And then we also have a gown. So before this, on a day-to-day basis, our uniform was just scrubs, black scrubs. That's all you had to wear. If somebody had the flu, maybe you would wear one of the little surgical medical masks. So for us, it's completely different. We have to take extreme precautions, making sure that we are washing our hands every 30 minutes, every time we walk in and out of a room, using hand sanitizer, wiping down all of our PPE after we leave a room. So it's a lot more involved. There's a lot more safety precautions, just because we really want to make sure we're keeping not only ourselves safe, but our patients as well. Like I said, this population we're here working with, they already have a lot of lung diseases, pulmonary diseases, they have respiratory issues. So this population is very, very susceptible to the COVID. So things here are a little bit different. We're hoping that it only lasts a couple weeks. So we never really know. We hear from the CDC on a daily basis of what we need to do to better protect our patients and ourselves. So that's pretty much all I have to say. If anybody has any questions for Ms. Noyd, feel free to ask. She also has my contact email if you have any specific questions about the field of speech therapy or you want to reach out to me. I'm more than happy to talk with anybody and answer any questions for you.